Hey there, this is Real Talk Baseball. I'm CarloBaseball and this is WillPower. Man, in a year so improbable, the impossible happened. Can you believe that? Vince Scully said that in 1988, and now in 2020, with COVID season, the Dodgers are World Series champions. Can you believe that, man?
It's about time, man.
Oh, I'm just like, my heart's racing right now. Yeah, my heart's racing right now, dude. This is like, I think this is the first time I get to say it. It's just so special to me, dude. It's just like, oh, look at my eyes getting teary.
I know. I don't even think I've even said it to anybody.
Yeah, dude. Oh man, dude. Crazy, man, crazy. It was an exciting series. I mean, a lot of people thought that the Rays gave up, and we'll get into it right now. But it's just, as a fan, it's so incredible, and so I just saw so many Dodger fans really happy, dude. Like, I've never seen this. Like, I've never seen Dodger Nation be like so excited about the Dodgers winning the World Series. We had the Dodgers haven't won it in 32 years. There was that drought, and then all the bad calls from Roberts in 17 and 18. It's just, now you get to say, oh dang, did Roberts finally pull it off and finally got us to the other side where we can go ahead and claim our team to be champions. And he did it, man. He did it. Like, it's a tough job. Roberts took the team to a different level with that, with trusting his players, changing his players, not keeping the same thing we saw like back then. So I'm just happy, dude. And I'm kind of lost of words too, because it's just, it still feels like a dream. Like, it still feels like the Dodgers won it, but they actually did.
I even told my buddy, I'm like, I don't even think like I've really like taken this in yet. Like, it doesn't feel like it's real yet. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm close to Philly over here, not in LA, to celebrate with all my friends and my family that are big Dodger fans. But yeah, man, that night I couldn't sleep. I was literally up all night just thinking about missing the parade and and wondering just how they're gonna do things with COVID and everything. But now that I'm hearing that they're gonna wait, it might even be until 2022. So once I find out the date, I'm gonna request time off from work. I'm gonna try to get my flight right away. I'm not gonna let the wife stop me this time. Be like,
I'm going. I'm going. Me. Dude, it's just, I was at the game 6, right? And it was just an incredible. I
can't believe you were there, man.
Dude, it's just, I can't even believe I was there, man. It was an incredible experience. I've never imagined being in any World Series, and especially away from Dodger Stadium. Going to Texas, I've never been in Texas. And then Globe Life Field, it was something different for me. Like, it's a nice stadium, pretty stadium. People were really friendly out there. It was just, a good environment to be around, even though there was only 11,500 people. I'm one of those 11,500 people that got to experience a live event, and not a lot of people are going to be able to say that in the years coming up. Hopefully this COVID thing finishes and we can get people back into the stadium, right? Because it's just, you like to see live sports. But the experience was just amazing. I got to meet a lot of people out there. A lot of Dodger fans, for sure. There was a few Astro fans, a few Braves fans, and of course Tampa Bay fans, but not a lot. It was mostly ran by Dodger fans out there, and you can actually hear it. But yeah, like game 1, the Dodgers took it right away. Game 2, the outcome of that one. Snell actually dominated the Dodgers, so of course the Rays came on top. It was a pitching decision, that we didn't agree with on the second game for the Dodgers, because it was a bullpen game. Yeah. But they lost that game, so then they tied 1-1. And then game 3, dude, like game 3, Urias pitched game 3, right? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Bueller.
Yeah, and he dominated that game. He just hands down dominated it. And then get that controversial game 4. Who can't forget that game 4? Every Dodger fan was so pissed off at that game.
Yeah, and honestly, like, just from the past few years of watching how Dave Roberts works, you kind of expected him to throw a monkey wrench into the World Series this year. And luckily for all of us, that was the lone monkey wrench. You know, I don't really remember anything else that stands out where I was just thinking to myself, like, dang, Dave Roberts is messing up again. He should be fired. You know, this and that, like all the Dodger fans always say. This was the only decision that I think putting in Kenley Jensen in the 9th inning with a 1-run lead. I think that's the only decision, the bad decision that Dave Roberts made this whole World Series. And that's saying a lot because, you know, 2017, when all the Dodger fans wanted Kershaw to start Game 7, and he ends up coming out of the bullpen instead. You know, there's been so many decisions that so many, you know, couch managers like to, you know, throw out there onto social media or talks amongst our friends and family. And I really think that most of us are right. You know, you can't just go with analytics all the time like Dave Roberts most of the time does.
Yeah.
But I think this post series, it wasn't just because the Dodgers are the better team. It's because he made better managerial decisions than Kevin Cash did. Yeah. That's why the Dodgers capitalized and came out with the W at the end. And it only took 6 games. It didn't have to go to all 7.
So then Game 5 was kind of like, are we going to win this game? Because, you know, the series was going Dodgers, Rays, Dodgers, Rays, Dodgers, right? So then Game 5, the Dodgers take it, hands down. Then you get to Game 6, you start feeling, as a Dodger fan, you start feeling like, okay, are the Dodgers really going to take it this game? Are they really going to, you know, go and beat Snell? Because Snell had a no-hitter in the 5th inning, remember?
Yeah.
So, you know, you start thinking about this, and you're like, okay, well, then the Rays can take it, but who do they have next? Who do they have for Game 7? Buehler didn't even show up in Game 6. You know, he was going to pitch Game 7 for sure. You know, so that was hands down. So if it was going to be Dodgers, Rays, Dodgers, Rays, Dodgers, so the Dodgers were still going to be on top and win the World Series. But that Game 6 feeling, and not only because I was there, but the feeling was like Snell has his best stuff going. He struck out the side in the 1st inning. And when you see that, you're like, wow, this guy's on it.
Yeah.
You know, so
and his pitch count was low throughout the whole game. So it's not just like, there's a difference between striking out the side using 25 pitches and striking out the side using 10, 11 I think it was like 10 or 11 pitches in the first inning. Yeah. And rule of thumb, as a starting pitcher, you want to throw 15 pitches or less through each inning. So that way, by the time the 9th inning comes around, you're hovering around like 100 pitches. Yeah. Because most starting pitchers that are completely stretched out can usually go 110, 115, maybe 120 is kind of pushing it, you know. You don't want to injure these guys, so you don't want them to throw too much, you know. Yeah. But I mean, the 120 pitch thing, like that's like the very maximum. It's not like the old days, you know, it was 50, 60 years ago when they used to throw 150 or more. Yeah. But, and analytics plays a lot into this game now.
It does. So then, you know, you have on the other side, the Dodgers have what's his name? I can't even, the cat man.
Tony Gonsolin.
Tony Gonsolin. He gave up that home run to Arozarena, and it was, you know, Arozarena was on it, man. All series long, all playoff long, he was just on it. He was a guy that every time he stepped up to the plate, it was like, what's going to happen? Like, this guy's hitting everything. Like, are you going to walk him? You're not going to give him anything to hit? But, you know, he hit that home run in the 1st inning, and then Gonsolin got out of the inning. You know, just 1 run. He gave up that 1 run. So then, as the innings went by, and went going, the game kept going. Finally, the Dodgers got a hit, and it was like, okay, so he's not going to throw a no-hitter. We know that.
Chris Taylor.
Yeah, Chris Taylor got a hit, and I think it was a solid hit. It was a solid hit.
It was
really, really solid. So then it kept going, and then you get to the 6th inning. You pitch to Pollock at 70 pitches. He pops up at the first pitch he sees, and then Barnes steps in, and he takes 3 pitches, and then actually the 3rd pitch he gets a single to center field. And this is where it gets kind of weird, everybody in that stadium, when Kevin Cash walked out of that dugout, knew he was going to take out the pitcher, and everybody said, this is ours. This is it. Done deal. Like, everybody felt that in that stadium. Like, I'm pretty sure Rays fans are like, why did he make that move? Like, hey, listen, we're Dodger fans, and we had to stick with Roberts making those bogus moves all this time, you know, like, but Cash did what he did. He went to the mound, had 73 pitches, and took him out. Now, that's I don't know if it's like a controversial call. Like, a lot of people are saying that, oh, the Dodgers, you know, won it because Kevin Cash took out the pitcher. Like, yeah, he did, but that's his mistake. It's not the Dodgers' mistake. The Dodgers are capitalizing on what the moves that this guy's making. You know, he decided to do it. But like I said, in the stadium, everybody got that sense of that we got it, man. We got the World Series. They got loud, super loud, and it's only, like I said, it's only 11,500 in there, but it got loud, really loud. So then you bring in Nick Anderson. They bring in Nick Anderson. This guy hasn't been pitching all that well, and to face Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts, he's a good hitter when this game starts, and as the game goes on, his batting average goes a little bit lower. His OPS goes a little bit lower as well. But Kevin Cash actually decided to, you know, change the pitcher and did all that. I don't know if you remember the plays that happened. You know, Mookie Betts got a double. He was at second, and you have Barnes at third. And then the very next pitch, I mean, from Nick Anderson, I think it was a wild pitch. And what is the catcher's name? Zunino, right? He didn't block the ball, man. That's an error. He didn't block the ball. It wasn't a wild pitch. He could have easily stopped it, and that run wouldn't have come in. Then the very next hitter, which was Seager, he grounded out to, what was it, first base? And then Choi stepped back instead of rushing for it and trying to throw home and catch the speedy Betts. So that's two fielding errors that, I mean, they're not errors.
Seager didn't even get on that because
no, he got on, but Choi stepped back instead of going forward to try to throw home to have his momentum going home. He didn't, waited for it, and then, like you said, he's not a really good, you know, fielder, right? He's not really known for that.
He's not a first baseman by trade. I don't remember what position that he played in I think it was the KBO. But he learned to play first base just within the past few years. Yeah. So, I mean, as learning to play first base is not something easy to do. No. And you know, from how I've seen him play, he made some spectacular plays at first base. But something like that is something that comes from experience and time and training, and he just hasn't had those three things yet. So he throws home, and Mookie Betts is super fast. That play has happened before. That play has already, I think it happened in game 3, right, where he goes all the way home. He runs home and he beats the throw by a lot. Same thing happened in game 6. So if you're gonna say that the Rays gave up that game, they really didn't. Kevin Cash would have looked like a genius if he would have got out of that inning. You know, that wild pitch shouldn't have happened, and that ground ball to first base, you know, that would have been a clear out because Barnes would have been on third, not Betts, if that wild pitch would have not happened. So then the home run by Betts, that one's clear. It would maybe it would have tied the game if that inning would have not happened. Regardless of all this, what I'm saying is, I'm saying this because I feel like I'm more of a baseball fan than a Dodger fan, but I should be more of a Dodger fan right now that they won the World Series. And yes, I'm excited, and you know, like, who isn't excited if you're a Dodger fan? But you got to look at everything when you're a baseball fan. Don't just say they threw the game and they gave it to the Dodgers. No, they didn't. The Dodgers fought for that to put themselves in that position. Mookie Betts was a second, you know, Barnes at third, and that wild pitch got Barnes home, and that ground out got Betts home. So, you know, I'm just trying to prove my case to those people that are actually saying that they gave it to the Dodgers, because we're hearing that a lot on social media. Like, and I feel like no one likes the Dodgers. I don't know why. Maybe our fan base is not the best. I get it. Like, they're over there looting and doing all this crap. I hate that. But, you know, give us a break. Like, what the hell? I was talking to a buddy of mine that's a big Phillies fan. And when they won it in 2008,
Yeah.
They said that there's still some animosity between the Dodgers and the Phillies from back then, 12 years ago.
Really?
You know, and it's because one of the Dodgers pitchers threw intentionally at a Phillies batter. And apparently, you know, Phillies fans and the Phillies organization might hold a little grudge, a 12-year grudge against, you know, a team that they haven't even really faced in the playoffs since then.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like for other teams. Eventually on this show, you know, we would like to have a fan from each team come onto the show. We can get the perspective of every fan. I got a buddy that's a big Cubs fan that I asked if he wants to come on the show, so that'll happen soon. You know, hopefully we'll have at least one from every 30, each one of the 30 teams to come on the show, and we can get their perspective. But that's just the one fan that I was talking to, the one Phillies fan. And yeah, I'm not sure why we get so much hate, man. It could be lots of things. And it could be that we make it to the postseason every season, and there might be a little bit of jealousy. It could be that
now the jealousy is this though. yeah, be jealous.
it could be that just LA in general is kind of looked at as like, you know, a snotty place.
Gotta show off, man. Gotta show off. Yeah, you know, I think I know who you're talking about. I think it's when they were pitching to Victorino. Remember, Victorino got mad because they threw over his head, and then he's like, "Hit me in the ribs, don't hit me in the head." And I agree with him. I remember we talked about it when Brosseau and Chapman. Yeah, like don't hit me in the head. Even Joe Kelly and Bregman. You know, we're not fans of pitchers going and going head hunting. But yeah, Victorino took offense to it. I'm pretty sure that's the one that all Philly fans are talking about. And you know, Victorino was a good special guy in Philly for them. Like he was one of the main reasons why they made it to the playoffs and won the World Series. So him and Chase Utley for sure. But yeah, we're talking about
Utley is a god over here, dude.
Yeah.
He is a god.
I
know two guys that named their kid Chase because of Chase Utley.
Oh man, that's pretty dope. Yeah. But yeah, I mean the Dodgers won the World Series. You know, they did what they needed to do. Kevin Cash got questioned, you know, that's on them. Dave Roberts got questioned so many times too, man. And as a fan, you got to remember that. You got to remember the coaches are using analytics and they're not going off of a hunch. Or they're not going off of the hot hand.
This is the thing. What Rays fans need to understand is there's a particular way that the Rays got to the World Series in the first place. Mm-hmm. And that's because Kevin Cash and the rest of the coaching staff has used their analytics. Like they haven't wavered away from it. You know, it's been completely analytics from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. Yeah. And they do not like to let their starting pitchers go through the order the third time around. And Blake Snell had just given up a hit, his second hit of the game. And yes, he was dealing for sure. And he was only at like 70 pitches. But because Mookie Betts, the leadoff hitter, was going to come up in at the next batter, right? Because Barnes had just got the hit.
Yeah,
that's why Kevin Cash decided to take him out. If Blake Snell would have got the out, they still would have taken out Blake Snell before they would have got back to Mookie Betts.
You think so?
I think so.
Really?
I think it would have been 5 2/3, and they still would have taken out Blake Snell. That's just the way that Kevin Cash has managed, and it's worked all season. They had the best regular season record for the American League. It helped it worked in the wild card series. It worked in the ALDS. It worked in the ALCS, and then they just came up a little bit short in the World Series. Now, if they would have went to Game 7, if the relievers that came in to replace Blake Snell, if they would have dominated, Kevin Cash would have looked like a genius. You know, and if Kevin Cash would have left Blake Snell in and just gave up a home run to Mookie Betts and the score would have been 2-1, then he would have looked like an idiot. Like, and then you would have had Rays fans saying like, oh, why didn't he just take Blake Snell out? He's been doing that all season. It really could go either way. It's really hard to judge these managerial decisions because in the moment you're like, do I go with my gut or do I go with what's been working all year? And in the end, as a manager, making that decision, he made the wrong one, but in my eyes, I think he made the right one, because even though he ended up losing the game, he went with the same method that's been working all year. So why would you break something, or why would you fix something that's not broken?
Let me ask you a question then, since you said he was going to do it anyway. So in game 1, you know how Glasnow pitched 114 pitches?
120.
120.
I think
Okay.
it was 120, yeah.
120 pitches. Snell has won a Cy Young before, right? He's a Cy Young hitter. And then you have Glasnow that hasn't won anything. He didn't have a good ERA in the playoffs either. He has electric stuff for sure, and he's going to be a good pitcher as the years go on. But why give Glasnow more confidence, or you feel like you need to give him more of a leash than you do Snell? Because the way I saw it was, I have my best pitcher out there. I'm gonna have him out there as long as it goes, as long as he can go. And 73 pitches for me is kind of like, okay, you still have probably 2 or 3 innings left in you. His velocity went down. You can tell his fastball was clocking in at 97 and it went down to 95 at that point, but he was still having the Dodgers guessing. So because he's a Cy Young, don't you want to tell him, okay, look, I have my best pitcher out there, and if they beat us with my best pitcher out there. That's how I saw it. And I saw that when he went out there, he was just like, analytics doesn't matter, I'm just gonna do it. Like you said, he's been doing it all season long, but give him a longer leash, man. Give him a chance to get out of the inning. It was only his second hit.
Well, two things. So Glasnow pitched as far as he could go, for one reason, because Kevin Cash wanted to save his bullpen, because he didn't know how long Blake Snell was going to go. He didn't know how long Charlie Morton was going to go. And, he's big on his bullpen arms because they dominated throughout the season also.
They did.
Until Game 6 in the World Series, where the Dodgers took advantage. But pretty much every game, their pitching was elite. And the reason why, they left Glasnow in so long is because there were certain relievers that he didn't want the Dodgers to see so early, because the Rays didn't face the Dodgers at all this season.
They did.
The Rays being in the East and then the Dodgers being in the West. If it was the Astros and the Dodgers, that might have been a little bit different story, because they played each other throughout the season a couple times. Mm-hmm. But because the Rays never faced the Dodgers at all, there were pitchers that Cash didn't want the Dodgers to see yet, because he was planning on making it a long series. Yeah. In his head, he's like, I know the Dodgers are the better team. I need to play this smart. And he used Glasnow to pretty much to his max. And then I think he got taken out late in the 7th inning. Who,
Glasnow in the 4th?
Glasnow?
Yeah, 4th inning. He didn't finish the full 5.
Oh, really?
That's what I'm saying. So you let
in Game 1.
Game 1, you let him go 120 pitches, and then you don't give that leash on Snell when he's dominating the game and they're up 1-0. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, analytics, and if you're doing all that, you're doing that you're doing those moves all year, that's fine. But this is Game 6. You're not gonna have Snell for Game 7. Forget about it. You're not. So then let him pitch the full game to wherever he can go. If he can go all the way to 7, good. If he can go all the way to 8, even better. If he can pitch all the game and he's still dominating, guess what? I'm going for what's gonna make it work.
Now, by the time that they took out Glasnow in the 4th inning in the first game, the Dodgers had already scored like 3 or 4 runs.
Exactly. Right? Yeah.
So, and that could be one of the reasons also that they left Glasnow in, because they were like, well, he's already given up a couple runs. It seems like, Dodgers are going to win this. Let's save our bullpen and just keep him in for now. And then he'll just pitch after on the 5th game. So that way, it gives him the rest that he needs. And I agree with you that the smarter decision would have been to let Blake Snell pitch, because that guy was untouchable for 5 innings. But Blake Snell also has a track record of, when he comes around in the third time around in the order, he gives up a lot of home runs, gives up a lot of hits, even gives up a lot of walks, which is very not like Blake Snell. Blake Snell doesn't walk guys. But once he gets to that 80 pitch mark, that's when he starts getting a little bit wild. And, like I was saying, Kevin Cash would have looked like a genius if it had actually worked out.
Yeah.
If Anderson would have pitched better, if the other bullpen arms would have pitched a little bit better. But Dodgers just saw the pitching better on those relievers. They were able to square up on the ball. They were able to take advantage and capitalize, just like you said, on the mistake of the manager.
Yeah.
But in his defense, if he would have left Blake Snell in, then it would have looked like a mistake on his part and a mistake on Blake Snell.
But not that's what I'm like. Okay, so let's. That's what I'm not understanding, from a lot of people though. They're saying that because they brought Nick Anderson, that's why they lost. So you keep Snell in there, and he's the best pitcher they have. So if they say take him out, would you be mad at that move? Let's say for when the Dodgers kept Kershaw in there, as a fan, I was like, yeah, keep him in. He's the best pitcher. And then they give up the home run, and you're like, man, what happened? But we had our best pitcher, right? So that's why I'm saying, if Snell is your best pitcher, he's your workhorse. He's the one that they're not hitting. You leave him out there, and if they beat him, you're like, hey, they beat the best pitcher. And I said, Nick Anderson didn't pitch bad. Like I said, it was just that wild pitch and that ground out to first that Choi didn't, run in to get the ball. So that's what I'm saying. Nick Anderson didn't pitch that bad after that. He gave up the 2 runs, yeah, but it wasn't his fault that the runs came in. The runs came in off of little, I guess errors, or I don't know what you want to call them.
Mistakes.
Yeah, mistakes, exactly. So Castanino, I felt like he could have blocked that ball, but he didn't. And then that play at first that Choi, like I said, I'm repeating it again. He didn't run towards the ball to try to throw the ball to home to get bets, because you know how fast he is. So like I'm saying, the Dodgers already won the World Series, so that's a good thing. It's just we're just discussing this play, and it's going to be discussed for a long time, and everybody's going to be questioning it. And it's been really questioned in the past few days, why did they make that move? Why did they do it? At the end, the Dodgers won the World Series, and every Dodger fan is happy. I'm happy, you're happy, so all city of LA is happy, and even around the country, even around the world, whoever's a Dodger fan, celebrate it right. Don't go looting. Anything else to add, Will?
World Series wise, there is one thing that I wanted to bring up. Corey Seager won the World Series MVP.
Yeah.
And there's a little debate that I see even amongst my friends here that watch the games and they watch the complete series, and they're thinking that Mookie Betts should have got the World Series MVP. Now, I tried to tell them, look at the stats. Corey Seager's stats were much better. He got him on batting average. He got him on home runs. He got him on RBIs. And I think he even got him on runs, even though Mookie Betts is a leadoff hitter. Now, the only thing that I saw that Mookie Betts really stood out in is he had 4 stolen bases.
Yeah.
But I try to tell, the other guy that I was talking to that Mookie Betts, his argument was Mookie Betts had more impactful plays.
Yeah.
He was the more impact player. But
he didn't make no errors too. Just to point that out. He didn't make no errors.
Yeah. Other
Corey
than
Seager?
Other
Corey
than game,
Seager?
huh?
Corey Seager, he didn't make no errors.
Right.
Yeah.
Did Mookie?
He misplayed a ball out in right field.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's considered an error though.
It's not an error, but it's kind of looked at like you could have cut it off. And with your speed and everything, you could have cut it off. That's a good debate, but it's just the numbers.
That's another thing also, is playing with the dome open, playing with the dome closed. it changes the trajectory of the ball. So that maybe wasn't necessarily his fault on fielding the ball, getting to where he needed to be. It's kind of like the same thing, like if you're talking about like playing in Coors Field versus playing at, pretty much anywhere else, the ball's going to travel differently.
Yeah.
And you have to think like on a dime, like, oh, is the dome closed? Is it open? Is the air thinner right now? But anyway, what I was telling him is that in game 1 of the World Series, which is when he pretty much had his best game, Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
He had 2 stolen bases in the same play, in the same inning, right? Stole second, and then he stole third, and then he scored on, I think it was a play at the plate. There was
it was game 1 then, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah. It was game 1. Yeah, I was trying to figure if it was game 1 or game 3, because I compared to game 6 going home to game 3, but it's actually game 1. You're right. It was game 1.
Yeah, and then he also had a solo home run in that game. But what I tried to tell him is, well, the Dodgers also scored 8 runs in that game, and he accounted for 2. Yeah. So even if he didn't make those plays, Dodgers still probably would have won 6-3, And I just think that Corey Seager, with his 8 home runs and his, 17 RBI throughout the series,
something like that,
that's more impactful than 2 stolen bases and the home run in the first game and then the home run in the 6th game. Because you take away the runs that Mookie Betts had, and the Dodgers still win those games, because the Dodgers ended up winning 3-1. Now that solo shot in game 6 was an insurance run. That was so just in case the Rays do score, Dodgers are still ahead. But it didn't win the game for the Dodgers. And the same thing with game 1, 8-3. There were 9 different position players on the Dodgers that hit home runs, and there were other home runs in that game that also helped the Dodgers, go towards victory, which is why I don't really see Mookie Betts being the better player in the first game. Now, if the score ended up being 4-3 at the end of game 1, then yes, definitely Mookie Betts was definitely a big factor in that game because of those 2 stolen bases and the home run. But I still think that Corey Seager and his overall production, I think that he still should be the World Series MVP.
So you said that your friend's been arguing that. I have my friends saying that maybe Urias could have been the MVP, and there's been arguments. You have valid points for Betts, and you have, but for me it was Seager for sure. But you have those arguments. You could have had Urias being the MVP because he's a pitcher, and he did come and shut down everybody, right? And then you have the other argument, the X factor we talked about, Will. Muncy. No one's talking about Muncy. Muncy had some.
We said we need production from Muncy, and he showed up, man.
Exactly, and no one's talking about it. No one's talking about it, dude. No one's talking about Muncy, and he had a 330 something batting average, and his on base percentage. Exactly, and his on base percentage was just like wow. And then the pitches he took. How many pitches did he take? Like I'll look at that stat and try to put it up.
I think they said that he had the most walks in World Series history.
No. Close to Barry Bonds, because Barry Bonds I think walked a bunch, but he was up there. Like he in
Barry
history.
Bonds never won a World Series, right?
Yeah, no, yeah.
So Muncy got him there.
Yeah.
Sorry, Giants fans.
Yeah, take that, Giants fans. Dodgers are champs. Yeah. So dude, and he's an X factor. We talked about it. We said that he needs to show up, and silently he did. Not a lot of people were talking about him, but yeah, you can argue all these things. At the end, they chose the right guy to win the Super Bowl. What the hell? To win the MVP, to win the MVP, and it was Corey Seager. I have him up here. Look, boom, right there.